All right. Welcome, everybody, to the Unfinished Business Podcast. I am your host, Eric Mulvin, and this is a show where we talk with CEOs, visionaries, leaders, and creatives who are out there changing the world, either through business, through their organization, through leadership, or creativity. Because it doesn't matter who you are or what you've accomplished, even if you're someone like Ruth Bader Ginsburg or John F. Kennedy, there's still something those people wanted to accomplish, even at the top of their game. And so we explore those stories here on Unfinished Business with Eric Mulvin.
Unfinished business. Where people in tech connect to amplify. Unfinished business. Human intelligence plus AI. Unfinished business. New shot goals that launch you high. Listen close, and you'll learn why.
This episode is brought to you by PackBiz Outsourcing. At PackBiz, we help transportation companies, software companies, and SaaS companies outsource their customer support and back office tasks with a powerful team in the Philippines that are dedicated to you as remote employees, helping your business improve support, scale faster, and grow while keeping costs in check. For example, we help one client save over $600,000 a year in payroll costs by using dispatchers from PackBiz. So if you've ever thought about outsourcing or taking on a virtual assistant, go to pack-biz.com to learn more or shoot us an email, info@pack-biz.com. All right. Today, I am really excited and I've been looking forward to this interview for a couple weeks here to introduce you guys to our next guest. So she is the CEO and co-founder of Dreambound, which makes people irreplaceable in a post-AI world by training people in healthcare, trades, and AI-powered knowledge work. Dreambound is backed by Union Square Ventures and Arrive, a Rock Nation company. And before founding Dreambound, she was an investor at VC, a software engineer on Uber's self-driving car team. She was also founder of Coding It Forward, a nonprofit that recruits top technical talent to modernize the federal government, very much needed, and work that earned her a medallion from the Chief Technology Officer of the United States. She graduated from Harvard College and was recognized as a Forbes 30 Under 30 honoree. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Athena Kan.
Thanks so much, Eric. It's so great to be here.
Awesome to have you here. All right. So to start things off here, I guess if you could introduce yourself and beside what I just shared in the intro and tell people a little bit about you here.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, you covered a lot of that in the intro. But yeah, I'm CEO and co-founder of Dreambound. We're working on what I think is the most important mission today. Just AI is taking over everything. You hear it all over the news. And yet there is no optimistic narrative about what is the world going to look like next. No one's thinking about, okay, a lot of people are going to lose jobs, but what then are they going to do? People paint this really bleak picture of unemployment, and yet no company is really working on it. So my team and my co-founder and I, we've decided we're going to solve this problem. So we help people start careers both in services-based industries that we think are incredibly durable, like healthcare, being a plane technician, trades, and then also AI-enabled work. So how can you be a video editor who really knows how to take advantage of AI tools? How can you be a salesperson that uses the best AI tools to close more and more deals? And so we've been helping hundreds of thousands of people every year change careers to do something new that we think will still be around.
That is incredible. And I love the mindset that you guys bring to this. And it's true. I feel like it's like a slow moving car crash that we're all watching.
Yeah.
What the heck? No one's doing anything. So you guys are actually doing something about this. So tell us more about those AI, almost AI proof jobs that you guys are really going after to train people around.
Yeah, we have two different models. So one is we partner with hundreds of different education providers around the country. We work with leading colleges like Southern New Hampshire University or ASU, since you're from Arizona. But we also work with boot camps, certification providers for more short-term training. And that is really around that regulated type of work where, you actually need to train and be hands-on in order to do that kind of work. And so we partner with these organizations, have a marketplace where anyone can search and sort and filter by anything that they need. For example, if they need financial aid or if they need a payment plan, they're able to sort through all of that. Or if they want to study on their own time or in person, they can also look for all of that. So we have a common application on our site where someone can apply for a program that best fits their needs and discover the right program that fits their needs. And we have a bunch of free career resources and tools, including your very own career coach that helps you get through that whole process and actually enroll. A bunch of career support like resume support, interview support, connect you with, for example, if you just need a couple $100s in order to get that application fee or put in the first payment towards your school, and we'll connect you with a side gig or side hustle that can help you get that in a few days. And then the
Wow.
second training model that we provide is where we offer the training ourselves. So this is really on the AI side where it's just evolving so quickly that we think schools are finding it very challenging to have that content adapt. As, a new chat GPT or Claude model comes out every couple of weeks, users need like a very up-to-date source of information. So we've built a new platform called Made that we are in private access for right now, where people can sign up and both learn the most up-to-date tools, get certified in how to be an AI-enabled salesperson, and be able to try out the tools live in the platform too.
That is incredible. Well, let's dig into the tool that you're talking about there. So let's say I'm sitting here listening to this podcast and I'm stressed out. Like, man, I feel like the world is passing me by. AI is changing things. I don't know where to begin. I mean, who is the kind of people that would be good for diving into this AI training?
I mean, it's really everyone, honestly. And I know that's not the answer you want to hear, but I talked to, for example, my dad, who has been working for many years. He's very good at his job. And there's this new tool, Copilot, that his company is rolling out. And he's very smart, but at the same time, like, his workplace doesn't have any training on how to use Copilot for making sure that he actually is able to use it at his specific job. At the same time, there's also people who are, let's say, junior software engineers who are now entering the job market. They see a completely different landscape relative to 2 years ago. They're finding it very tough to get those entry-level roles. And so the only way to compete is if you understand these tools like Cursor and Claude Code, and that applies for any kind of junior level talent. So we see the whole range. I would say right now our audience is skewing more like 35 plus, people who are professionals who have that experience in their work, but they are honestly getting outcompeted or outsped by other people who know how to use these tools. And so they're trying to stay relevant. They're trying to use these tools that their companies are holding them accountable to and direct KPIs, but have no training for. And so, yeah, we're helping them both on the enterprise and consumer side.
All right. And I want to touch on something as well, because you bring up a really interesting point. The lack of training around these tools. And I think it's so funny because we're all expected, especially in our jobs now, like for me, the expectation of my team to know these tools, to use it, to like, if there's a task that could be done in 30 minutes with AI versus what might have taken 2 or 3 hours. Like, I'm questioning that employees' ability to do their job if they're not taking advantage of these tools. But companies aren't training people on this as well. So I guess, I don't know. It's an interesting thing. You guys are really filling a gap in the marketplace. What about business owners that are listening and they're like, my gosh, you're right. I've given my employees some tools, or I know we need to use it, but I don't know where to begin. How can you guys help those companies out?
Yeah, I mean, it's awesome. You're actually writing our whole tagline for us. It's like, you've bought the AI tools, but who's teaching your employees how to use them? And I think it's such an unreasonable expectation too, honestly. Like, we're working right now with like a Series C AI-enabled company, and they're struggling with getting their sales team to adopt this AI software. Because even though their engineers are really AI native, because AI is part of their product, it's just so hard to take a whole organization pre-AI and totally convert it to a post-AI motion where there are new tools coming out every couple weeks, new products that are changing every single day. And so the only way to adapt that quickly is to have, at least on our side, what we think is a hybrid AI plus human training people on how to use these AI tools. So we built this new product, Made that. It ingests your company's tools that you're already paying for, your expense policy, the job titles of all your employees, and then employees can then go ask, here's this problem that I'm facing. For example, I need to automate this Salesforce report, or I need to automate this data analysis, and then we'll teach them in a step-by-step lesson how to actually do all of that. So it's
Hmm.
custom on-demand training for anyone at a fraction of the cost. If you want that kind of thing, it typically costs like hundreds of thousands of dollars on the market right now, and you can do it for much less with our new product.
That's incredible. And as a business leader, I have been implementing things like this, looking for tools, demoing stuff like this. We're actually working with one now, but it only is for the top leadership level. So I like that yours isn't like there's only a small group of people that's really built for, where yours is really meant for a whole organization, like
Mhm.
multiple levels of it, which is, I think there's a big gap. I keep seeing the struggle on my end on like how do I get some of these frontline employees, like where do they see the value in this AI tool? And
Yeah.
so I could see this filling in some of those gaps.
Totally. I mean, we saw it with our own team, really. And that's why we think that sort of bottoms up is important because these are the people who are doing that day to day work. And what better person to work on improving that workflow than the person who's actually doing it every single day? And so we've had more junior team members work on things like automated customer support for the first front line of inquiries because they're the ones answering those customer support queries every single day. We've even had, software engineers on our team who have automated a big chunk of the software development process that allows the whole team to really reap the rewards of that. And I think that is just not as possible when you have like a top down approach, thinking like department by department, here's how you're going to do it. Because, we don't know, like as leaders, we don't always know how things work.
Very much so true. Cool. Well, I also wanted to go back on now as far as like Dreambound and the core business of helping connect people to the education and the jobs. I kind of was thinking about it here. It's interesting because you're working with like a lot of traditional organizations. Like these are programs that have been around for a while. So how is like you guys are bringing the technology in too, though, I'm guessing. So tell me more about that. Like, how are you guys probably helping modernize some of these things, these ongoing challenges? Because all these schools, they want students, they want good students. And
Hmm.
last time I checked, they're still looking for more students. I know a lot of these programs are like, yeah, we need more.
Yeah.
So it's an interesting problem that still hasn't found a solution, it seems.
Yeah, totally. And I think that's what has happened in certain industries over the last like 10 years. You think about Credit Karma or NerdWallet for picking a credit card or a fintech product. It's like it's a trusted brand that has your sort of best interests in mind. You tell them a little bit about you, and then it matches you to those products based on your credit score, based on your credit profile history, the types of goals, ways you're trying to spend. But there's not really a brand in the US for, I feel very lost in my career. I want to make a change. Like,
Mm.
where should I go? And so that's what we're trying to be. And yes, we partner with really great institutions that have been around for a long time because they have the expertise of delivering a full accredited education. But, the platform also extends to a lot of new and upcoming providers who've just started in the last few years and are able to grow really quickly because they partner through us and have just a much better product that they're able to deliver to students as they are interested in certain types of programs or certain types of, certifications that a legacy school might not offer.
Yeah. Well, I mean, this will keep you real nimble. Like a new program could come out next week and you could put it on your platform. You could always
Totally.
stay on top of everything.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, we care a lot about giving people choice. I think for some people, they are only able to make a certain schedule work because they are working and are only free in the evenings and are looking for this type of program that can wrap up in like 4 months. And so if you narrow from there, it turns out there are only a few options. And so if we can give as much choice to people and help them understand, like, here's what to expect from the process, and we'll answer questions along the way, like, I think that's what it takes in order for someone to start something new.
Cool. And because you guys have like hundreds of thousands of people going through this program, and I don't know, maybe over the lifetime could be millions, but what's a story that comes to mind of like an impact that you guys made from your program?
Ooh, good question. And this was kind of crazy, but I want to say it was a year and a half ago. I was just checking our mail regularly, and we got this letter from, I forget exactly. I want to say it was like some Southern Florida like Department of Corrections. And I
Hmm.
was like, what is going on? Like, why are we getting a letter from them? And I opened the letter, and it's actually like a current inmate who had somehow found about Dreambound and had asked if we had any tower technician programs in his area that we
Mm.
could help him find. And honestly was stunned that he had heard about us in the first place. But I was honestly like, it gave me a sense of, I don't know, like a deeper appreciation for like this scale that I didn't realize we had reached, where it was someone who was trying to reinvent his life from, troubled life. And he was trying to be able to get back into society, reintegrate, like start a new career and be able to work as a tradesman to support himself and his family and be able to do something new. And it came at a moment where I was very much deep in the numbers of like, okay, we got to keep growing this percent month over month. But yeah, sometimes just taking a step back and thinking about this is a person whose like life we are changing. Yeah, it was humbling, honestly.
Oh, that's incredible. And yeah, and just imagining that that's happening probably every day somewhere, that someone's going through that and you know, being able to lift their life up a little bit more. So that's incredible.
Yeah, absolutely. There is a common story that we get sometimes where someone has already enrolled in a college or program before, and they were in a program that did not serve them well. It was too expensive, or they felt scammed because the school wasn't delivering them the education that they wanted. Maybe they just like gave them books and sort of let them run on their own as opposed to like actual teaching. And then they come to Dreambound and they're like, oh my gosh, like here's a new school that I'm able to transfer my credits to or whatever. And now I can like, I was going to otherwise drop out and now I have a new option. So yeah, it's kind of stories like that that make me feel like it's, all worth the many hours.
Oh my gosh, that's life changing for people. I mean, just that one thing. Like they think, oh, there's like I can't get a better education. This is it. And then turns out, no, there is a path. So that's
Hmm.
cool. I think thanks for sharing that.
Yeah.
So this episode is kicking off my series where we're gonna interview and explore and connect with people who are out in the Asian business community because there's not too many of us. I do a lot of conferences where we get to hear from people to work with the government, and
Hmm.
they're not too represented there. Or in a lot of other places I go. So I guess tell listeners about this. I'm speaking to the Asian people who are listening that want to start a business, need some inspiration. And that part of my motivation here is that there's not enough people telling their story about how they got started or where they came from. So I wanted to go a little bit into that and maybe some of your
Yeah.
background, because I haven't confirmed this yet with you, but like for me, my mom is from the Philippines. I have half immigrant parents. So, and that's a common story that a lot of American Asians have is like some parent or grandparent that has immigrated over to the U.S. So, but yeah, can you tell the audience a little bit about your journey here, getting to Dreambound?
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, my parents are also immigrants. They came to the US when they were in their late teens, so actually earlier than I think a lot of the Chinese immigrant population right now. And it's funny because I don't think they ever expected me to start a business. My dad is literally an insurance actuary, so
Oh,
prices risk, and my
the
mom.
opposite of running a business, no risk.
Exactly. Yeah, and my mom was an accountant, and so they're both very at the time, because that's what it required, is, they wanted very stable jobs that allowed them to create a life for me that allowed me to pursue my passions and explore a lot of what I wanted to do. But ultimately, like I didn't get to do as much of that on their own throughout their career. They have been super supportive, though. My mom was always pushing me from a young age, I think very differently from most other Asian moms, to like be taking as much risk as possible.
That
So
is different.
I know. Yeah. And so I feel very grateful for that. But honestly, I would say like college really changed my life for me in terms of starting a business. I didn't really know what entrepreneurship was in general. Like when my mom was pushing me to take risks, it was more around like advocating for myself, speaking up for myself, and less like professional risk. But when I got to college, one of my dorm mates my freshman year like dropped out of college and started a company, and I was like, whoa, I didn't
Mm.
know that you could do that. Like I thought you needed to go and work for 30 years before you do anything approximate to that. And In the meantime, go work at Google, And then as I got through college, I started encountering more and more of my friends who were similarly dropping out or just graduating and starting companies. And I honestly, I feel like a big part, other than the mission driven nature of like my work, a lot of it was driven by ego of just like, I think I am just as good at that, as that, and being able to do all these things. Like, I want to start a company because I think I can too. And I'm very competitive. So I didn't want to feel like I was losing. And so, yeah, I would say, I
So
don't know
here
if
you
that's good
are.
advice, but yeah.
Well, you need those attributes, I think, to be successful in business. I mean, if you don't want to win, it's kind of hard to get up every day and keep fighting when you kind of need to win. You need to win that account, that employee, that, I mean, every day there's something that you need to be able to do. So I think it's okay. I mean, we all have what's amazing is everyone has their different paths to get there, to get to running a business and different influences. So but I mean, you didn't go to just any regular school. You kind of went to one that's pretty famous. I mean, there's a lot of people, not every school, people go into business, start dropping out and starting businesses. That does happen sometimes, but I think it happens at a much higher rate at the where you graduate from. So tell me a little bit about your college career. Like, how did you end up going there, and how influential was that for you in your business career?
Totally. Yeah. I went to Harvard and it totally changed my life. I mean, even just looking at the people in my class, I mean, they are the hottest companies in AI right now. Like Cognition, Decagon, like Exa, all these companies from my year. And
Oh man, the
so
competition. And if you're like comparing yourself to these guys, are yeah, some big ones.
exactly. Yeah, Harvard class in 2019, best class. Yeah, I mean, I only started getting in the venture world because of this organization called Dorman Fund. It is a student-run venture fund that, for some reason, let us put in like 20K checks into companies that were run by students. And so we got to be actual venture capitalists for a couple years and see how those companies did, source our own deals, advocate for them in the investment committee, and be able to support them as they were to start their own business. And many of them are actually post IPO or billion-dollar companies now that we got to be in from the very early days.
What an amazing opportunity.
I know, huge yeah, Dorman Fund, it's still active. You can still join as college students. So any college students listening to it, definitely
So you
can.
don't have to only go to Harvard. You could be a college student at ASU or anywhere else,
Yeah,
right? And that experience that you mentioned a few things there that you got to get exposed to because of that, that is really impactful because I think like for me, I'm just hit 11 years in my business and I'm in a space where although I have no intention of going anywhere, there's a lot of people that are talking about exits and investments and selling to private equity, and so you start getting into that world, but it's like you're finally getting exposed to it. Like for me, I've been in this business, yeah, for over a decade. It's amazing for you to know that stuff up front. And I think that unlocks so much more potential with your business because, like I think a lot of people, like, again, I'll go back to the listener that's thinking about starting their business. They might be sitting there like, I have this amazing idea. How do I get that started? I get that question all the time because they're like, see, I have 200 employees. Or like, how did you get to that? They don't see the path to get there. But
yeah.
talk to me about that a little bit and that journey and what it takes.
Oh, great question. I mean, the first step is feeling like you know everything, but actually you know nothing. But that's the first step because if you feel like you know everything, that's when you know that you can actually get started. And then once you then understand you know nothing, that's when you start charting the path of, okay, first I'm going to learn this one thing. And then you feel like you know everything about that one thing. And that's when you then learn actually you know nothing yet again. And then that pattern just keeps repeating until somehow you're 200 people. And then,
This is so
you've
true.
hired people to go.
I can tell you this is so true because I was just telling this story yesterday to my team. My very first business was a taxi company. And, you're from Bay Area-ish. We got spring training happening in Phoenix right now. The Giants are spring training.
Mm,
And it reminded me of like the first business I had was a taxi cab company. And I was trying to disrupt the taxi industry. That's why I was doing that. We had the first app in Arizona to book a ride. But My friend drove around in a taxi during the busiest tourist season of the year in Phoenix when the weather's perfect and everybody's here. And he's like, I made so much money driving this taxi. We need to start a taxi company. And I was like, it hits all my boxes. I could disrupt it. There's no new technology that's happened in this space. Like, we could totally make an app. So I'm like, let's go. Thinking like that money that you could make in the peak season, you could make all year. And so that was like, I didn't realize till that summer when we were like, where'd all the customers go? And we're trying to pay bills and there's no revenue coming in to pay the bills that still have to get paid no matter what. But yeah, so what you said is spot on true. Hopefully you do some research
Mhm.
to educate yourself on some of those blind spots. But that's how I got here.
I mean, I think that also touches on another honestly weird, but I think very, very useful business advice is just like believe that you can do it and make it happen. I think there have been times when like I've doubted myself and that doubt only compounds, but like reversing that doubt into like, okay, I can do this, that just like sort of escalates into actually you've created the thing that you believed that you could in the first place. So just like, yeah, knowing that, okay, I don't know anything about building a taxi app, but I'm going to go and build a taxi app. Like you did it. And then you did it in a way that like a lot of people, they don't believe that they can. And so they won't.
Yeah. Yeah. I think some of that not knowing what you don't think is, I don't know. Like for me, I didn't know what I couldn't do. So I was like, yeah, I'm going to go make this. Maybe if I knew more about the situation, I might not have done it, and maybe I would have done some other idea. Who knows? Because I did start like a bunch of businesses. So it could have been any one of those that might have taken off. But all right. Now, wanted to also go back to my background. I mentioned taxi, and you have some connection with Uber and
Mm.
self-driving cars. And then I'm in Waymo's backyard. I've been following them closely. You know, we've been there's more self-driving cars driven here in Phoenix than any other city, I think, combined in the world. I always tell
Yeah.
people when I'm talking to anybody, like even if I just drive to the grocery store, 5-minute drive, I'm passing 3 or 4 Waymos any given time of the day. So, but tell me more about your experience with self-driving cars, because that ties right in very closely with AI and the shift in technology that's happening.
Yeah, absolutely. I was working on Uber's self-driving car team, I want to say 2017, hopefully not getting the years wrong. And I mean, it was super interesting experience. That was like definitely before we've gotten to I mean, just how perfect essentially the Waymos are today. It was very much early stages of a lot of things happen and go wrong. But one thing that I thought that was very interesting when I was first doing that, you know, having not known much about the self-driving car industry, is that we would be in these self-driving cars as like a test rider, and then there's also like a driver in front who's noting every time that like the car makes a mistake. And that's data labeling now is much more common than it was before. But back then, yeah, it was data labeling to make sure that you understand why the cars are failing, like labeling, here's a stop sign, here's like another car, here's a bike or whatever. And so it was essentially this person who was like working to automate themselves. And I was like, that's crazy. That like, yeah, that's happening. And just like, there's not really a plan for what's going to happen to all these people who are doing all these things. That said, I mean, I love self-driving cars. I think it's going to save like millions of lives across the US. But it's sort of the combination of like, okay, there's this other problem that we have. And also we have, such a gift and advancement of technology too. But yeah, it was super fun. It was also like during a very tumultuous year at Uber. That was when like the CEO was like basically fired. A lot of different lawsuits happening concurrently. Like every time we had an all hands, all the all hands information was leaked immediately during the meeting to
Oh my
news.
God, in real time on
Yeah, in
Twitter.
real time. Yeah, so it was a great time. I had a very was a low stakes employee, had a very interesting experience.
So this is it. This is a topic that's kind of interesting because for me, I've worked at Yelp pre-IPO, so I got to see that tech culture, and I worked at big corporate jobs like JP Morgan Chase. But how did your time at Uber influence how you shape the company culture of Dreambound today?
Totally. Great question. I mean, I think it was important that I got like a real company experience before starting my own company. I started Dreambound right out of college. And so, yeah, basically it was like my time at Uber and a couple other places that informed how we were structuring a lot of the company. And Uber has gotten a ton of flack for this, but I think they have just a really great value of moving very quickly and just action over inaction. So we've taken a couple of the values from Uber, although, trying not to emulate a lot of the challenges that they've had as well. But yeah, I just try and like make sure that once we come up with a plan, like how do we minimize that time between idea to execution as much as possible? And so that's one of my core values and how I live day to
Hmm.
day is just like move as fast as possible. And I think that's the only thing that can really keep you competitive in like an AI world where you can actually just generate code in a few minutes now, or, build a whole app in like, less than the time it takes to, go hire someone to do it. And so, yeah, it's all about like speed and prioritizing the right stuff. Yeah.
So I got a great question for you because this is an interesting debate that came up in this CEO peer group that I'm in
Hmm.
because we're in a transformation. We're deep in it. We brought in a new COO about, I don't know, 9 months ago. So we're changing a lot of things and uh, a lot of things quickly. And I have a lot of my CEO friends and they're like, you're doing too much. You should only change one thing at a time. How are you going to know like what's working and not working when you're changing everything? And I'm like, I don't care. We need to change it all. Like things are moving so quickly and we could figure this out. Like we don't have to move that slow. But those are conversation and debates happening in businesses and in corporate teams and
Yeah.
leadership and family businesses all over the world right now. Like, how fast do we move? How slow do we move? What advice would you say, and maybe some tips or like, I think one thing is clear. We all need to move faster. We can't move at the pace we were moving pre, 2022, whatever, when everything started coming out.
Hmm.
So how does someone move faster and like, how do you determine that speed, and find some ways to get your company to maybe move in a way that they didn't in the past?
Oh, great question. I think, and this is a lesson I've learned over the past, I would say 2 years now, that focus really compounds. And so if something matters to you, then focus only on that, and that will happen. But you have to be okay with letting go of the other things. And that thing will
Mm.
happen very quickly if you focus on it. I'll give you an example. Last year, my co founder was pushing really hard for becoming an AI native company. And that has been something a lot of other companies have been vaguely pushing for, but they didn't make as much progress as we did because we made that our singular focus for like, I don't even know, 6 months. And so now we have a feature that I think otherwise would have taken like a week and a half to build internally with a startup, which is already pretty fast compared to other companies. Like now, I literally just built it in 31 minutes. I was looking at the
Oh my gosh.
timestamp between. Yeah. And like that sort of thing was our number one priority because it would compound. If you can get AI and all of our, importantly, teammates to adopt AI, that means that they can move faster going forward. And as models get better, they can move even faster than they were moving before. So I feel very grateful to my co founder for making that our number one priority. And that took a lot of time. It was like having hackathons. We spent like a whole month on what we called AI bingo, which totally changed the
Mm.
company. Where we had like a bingo grid of like 25 challenges that were AI related, and every employee like was required to do a bingo, and they would get a prize if they did the whole board, but they were required to do that one bingo. And like everyone was addicted to it. They thought it was so fun. We had our biggest AI haters and detractors then be able to build a whole desktop app, like
Wow.
not having, basically they went from basically like a chat GPT intermediate beginner to then building like a whole app. They were non-technical. And I mean, that has reaped rewards ever since and will only continue. Versus, I talk to companies now for Made That where, they've had other business challenges come up. And so I can understand why they haven't prioritized AI
Mhm.
adoption, but now they're behind. And so, that they have to do it at some point. Otherwise, that gap's going to keep growing. So I would say, yeah, focus on one thing. It's counterintuitive, but yeah.
It does seem like that, but yeah, that's a cool story. Thank you for sharing. That's a really great tip for somebody that's like, how do I implement this in my company or how do I get everyone on board? It's coming up with fun, interactive ways like that, you can't just do workshops and just make everyone attend these workshops. Then what? They're going to leave and not apply anything that they've done. This forces them to kind of actually go through it. So great advice.
Yeah. Yeah, we actually built AI bingo into made that for enterprise,
There you
so
go.
people can have their own
So
AI bingo internally.
if you're looking to find way, there's another example of one of the things that you can get when you work with that tool. So cool. Now I love the fact that this, like everything you're doing, because for us, my background, we got a call center. We're people based. Like we're all about people. And I've been on this mission talking about as amazing as AI is. And I'm like one of the first to try to put it into everything. We need people like this
Mhm.
AI plus, in fact, I have this term AI plus HI, human intelligence. And I think you have
Yeah.
almost said a similar term as you were saying some of your answers, but you are at the forefront of this, helping people with the education part of it and bringing people in. And then you're also like at the cutting edge technology, putting together apps in 30 minutes, which to some people listening, it's a whole other world that doesn't even seem attainable. So tell me about that, like the importance, like you're seeing it all and despite everything with AI, you're talking about how important people are and how important humans are. So tell me more about where do you see the future? Where do you like there's a lot of people sharing negative viewpoints of the future or not so positive ones. Let's give the audience a positive scenario. Like
Yeah.
what are some positive things that could happen with AI? If people embrace things like Dreambound and some of the not just what you guys are doing, but those concepts. Like, let's get back to people.
Yeah, totally. I mean, a trend that has been happening over centuries is as the economy becomes more developed, it actually becomes more services based. Like the America is something like 60-70% service based jobs. And so I think that trend will only continue. I think that'll be more and more of where the economy grows. Healthcare is the fastest growing, most stable segment of our country's economy, and that will continue to happen. I think a lot of people see the stability in it and want to transition into it from other more precarious jobs. I think there is also, of course, the support services around all of those legacy industries that will need some time to catch up and are also very critical. And so having a human eye is very important for something like cybersecurity for power grids. That is going to be incredibly important and cannot be limited to AI only. I think people will be AI augmented, though. I think that's going to be important for any sort of knowledge work. I know that there is a lot of fear around is AI going to take over my work? But I think for, a lot of people I've talked to as well, they're worried about what happens to my craft if AI is able to do that? As a software engineer, like AI slop code is not as good as
Oh,
like my personal handwritten code. And I was just talking to one of my engineers and he was telling me that what made him really see the value in AI was actually using more of the code reviewing tools at first and just finding critical bugs that otherwise would not have been found and would have caused many issues if not for AI reviewing his work. And then, after that, that started making it easier for him to adopt other AI tooling around like code generation and now the full AI stack that we have today. So I think it's, yeah, human enabled by AI. And I think it's services based work. I think that's going to be a big part of the economy in the future. I think there will be a few new types of jobs, hopefully a lot more than just a few, but definitely we're already seeing a few already that have been very new. AI filmographers is totally new job that previously would not have been a career at all. Like the whole film industry is just very hard to break into. You need to have certain connections, but now actually you can create AI videos, AI ads, like UGC type videos, all of that from anywhere in the world for a much lower budget. So I think we'll see a lot of that. I think growth in marketing will be even bigger than it was before because we have so many new products getting released all the time. Like the only way to stand out is by have excellent go to market. And so I think sales and growth type work will only expand. We've seen like salespeople are able to double their revenue per rep just by using AI tools. And so that makes it way more profitable to have a salesperson on your team. And so all of that stuff I think will also happen.
yeah, there are so many, like a million different directions where AI can definitely change things and for the better too. Because there's what I always tell people, like, look, we don't even know the jobs that are going to be created yet because of a new technology that AI has enabled. Like there could
Mhm.
be an entire industry that we don't even know exists yet. And so, don't count yourself out. We're so early on in this thing.
Totally. Yeah.
But I do love though, because being in the transportation space, at least initially, you know, and I guess we do kind of have this in common. Like, so when I first started, I even drove a taxi. I drive a taxi
Yeah.
till I remember when my daughter, who's about to be 10 soon, but when my wife was pregnant, I was driving around till 3, 4 in the morning, making extra money just to, yeah, to I had a startup. I had, you know, every penny needed to go back into the business, but you too really dove into your business and went right to the front line as well. So tell us a story about that, because you did not have to do that, but you went and became a plumbing apprentice, right?
That's right. Yeah. I mean, my dad actually kind of inspired this because when I was younger, my family needed electrical work done on the house, and they got a quote from a bunch of different electricians. And I'm sure this is a familiar story for many people these days, but electricians are very expensive. And so my dad decided, you know what? It's going to be cheaper to become an electrician instead. So he studied for nights and weekends. He is a really good test taker. And so he became an electrician after just a few weeks and scored the highest of, I think, anyone in the county in like a
Oh my
decade or
gosh.
something. Yeah. And then I'm pretty sure my mom might have done the actual electrical work. Yeah, so I thought this was hilarious and inspiring and very aligned with our work. So I went and became an apprentice plumber, a beekeeper, a caregiver. Ooh, I was trying to get our whole team to do forklift training for an offsite, but then COVID happened, and so we weren't able to make the timing and location work out. But that would have been sick. But yeah, I think customer empathy is really important. I think it would also be so cool to be able to go to a plumbing school on my part and be like, hey, I'm an apprentice plumber too. Yeah, I thought about getting more, but haven't been able to make the time.
Yeah, with all the things you're working on, you're doing so much. So it's amazing that you were even able to do that.
Yeah, that's fun.
Cool. Well, I so much appreciate you sharing your stories with us here today. There's like so many incredible ones there, and I feel like I could go in further into a lot of them. But, I always end the show here with one question, which is, and this one is especially unique for you, because some of the people I've interviewed are a little. They're not too much older than me, so we haven't had too many older people, but no one's at the end of their career yet. With you, you have a lot ahead of you. You're still under 30, or Forbes 30 under 30 here, honoree. And so what's some unfinished business for you? What are some things that you want to accomplish in your career that you haven't even begun to work on yet?
Oh, great question. Yeah, that makes sense. Unfinished business. I should have thought of that.
Or maybe some big, audacious goals that you have with Dreambound? I got you stumped, huh?
I know. I mean, I very much believe in the importance of being true to my word. So I'm trying to pick something that I can commit to.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, then this brings up an interesting one, because I think you'd be the youngest guest we had on the show. And I don't think I'll have a whole bunch of people under 30 on the show, because there's not too many of you guys running businesses. I remember when I first started my business, and I still get this now, when I was looking for a new CPA last week, they're like, how old are you? I'm like, I started it 11 years ago. But yeah, not too many people younger. So maybe the interesting thing for you is you don't know yet what that is, because you're still got a lot more to figure out.
Yeah, well, I think there's like some of that Asian fear in me of like being too afraid to you know, like take too much risk at some level. But
Yeah,
yeah, I mean the goal is to make at least $100 million.
that's a big goal. Yeah. And then I would imagine, I mean, what about, I mean, you're already by Dreambound existing, you're already making the world a better place. But I mean, do you have any like nonprofit or give back, or, you know, any other thing there that you're hoping to see, especially with AI, you know,
Hmm.
maybe one of your AI investments take off and you become a philanthropist. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, we're planning to change the world with Dreambound and Made That. We're gonna train everyone into new careers. And so, I mean, it's a big mission, but that itself, like, that's the only thing that matters. And if we're able to do that, we're gonna change the world. And I guess we have already, but I feel like we can do like another couple orders of magnitude more than we have already. Yeah, I mean, I give a lot now, but honestly, I just like I loved my experience starting Coding It Forward, a nonprofit, but I started a for-profit because I felt I could move just so much faster, have greater access to capital. and just being able to, raise a few $1 million in a couple weeks compared to 9 months, like raising 30K at a nonprofit, it's completely different. And just like the type of scale, capital, talent that you have access to. And so I very much believe in trying to orient my vision for a good world through my also ownership in the company that I run today. So yeah, I'm sure I will give a lot later in life, but I would love to give now in life too by growing the current business.
And I really believe that by doing that, yeah, I think that's got to be like, we need more Dreambound out there. Seeing what, again, because we're providing support to these taxi companies, and I mean, they're directly those. You can't see a clear picture of like the taxi driver and a Waymo like replacing their job.
Yeah.
And so, like, for me, I love that there is something out there that I could tell those drivers, like, hey, go to this site, there's resources there. They can help you out, and they can help you find something that you could do while you're driving. And whether Uber driver, whatever driver there is.
Yeah.
And that's just one position. There's so many jobs out there that are going to be transformed and changed. And, you're giving people hope that, hey, and not only hope, but that you've helped hundreds of thousands of people already. So if it's helped all those people, why can't it help you?
Yeah, thank you. Oh my gosh, my co-founder and I have this running joke that for whatever reason, like I don't do anything, but my Uber drivers always tell me their life stories. And so I've heard just like insane stories of career transition of people trying to be like cloud engineers or open up their own like suit shop, become real estate developer, transition out of being like a construction project manager. It's just huge range and so many very cool stories. And actually, I think that's one of the cool things about Uber is that like it is a transition, or it's a career that allows a transition to happen on the side. I don't think people really appreciate that as much. They're kind of like, oh, Uber steals wages. And, actually a lot of people like really like driving Uber if you actually talk to a real driver. So, yeah.
If you actually talk to them, yeah, and not just stay on your phone in the back seat the whole time.
Right.
I love it because, yeah, I mean, for me, being a driver before, I always love hearing the conversations and like, oh, how did you get into this? And what do you do? So, yeah. But those are the people that, you're helping out with Dreambound and it's amazing that you could have a platform that could reach such a broad audience. And that's really difficult. So congrats to you for what you've been able to build. And I'm excited to see more and more people go through the program and help change their career, because AI is changing things, and this is one thing that you could do to do something about it.
Thank you. Yeah, it's been awesome. Thanks for letting me share my story.
All right. Well, thank you guys all for listening. And if people wanted to learn more about Dreambound or maybe some of the things you're working on, what's the best way to either get connected with you or follow what you're doing?
Yeah, dreambound.com, madethat.com. Those are our marketplace for career training and then our AI learning product. So definitely check those out there. You can also follow me on LinkedIn, just /Athena Kan, Kan. And yeah, I'll be sharing about our journey as we go through it.
Awesome. And I'll get some links in the show notes so you can find out really easily as well. Thank you guys all for listening. And if you like what you heard today, if you want to hear more stories with really amazing people out there changing the world, make sure you subscribe so you could hear more interviews we have coming up later this year. But thank you guys, and we'll catch you on the next episode.
And visionaries shaping what's to come, building more than profit, lifting everyone. Every path's unique, but it takes a choice to grow. Set your goals and shape the way your future goes. Unfinished business. Where people in tech connect to amplify. Unfinished business. Human intelligence plus AI. Unfinished business. Moonshot goals that launch you high. Unfinished business. Listen close, and you'll learn why. Subscribe, look for Biz with Eric online, and follow Unfinished Business on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, YouTube, wherever you listen.